Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name's Laura, and for those of you who don't know me, I am a psychic medium tarot reader here on YouTube. I like to make videos about spirituality, law of attraction, and I do plenty of pick a card tarot readings. I was inspired to make today's video because one of my subscribers, they said, I'm tired of this dude from 5 years ago coming up in my readings. He had his chance and he blew it, no second chances. And I feel like this is such a common thing that a lot of people who are into tarot and spirituality experience, where we get readings and this same person from years ago keeps popping back up. Why? And you may be totally over them and you're like, I just don't know why they keep coming back up in readings. I don't know why I'm having dreams about them, why I randomly keep thinking about them. Arguably, I should be over them and I'm not even emotionally attached to them. If they were to pop back up in my life right now, I would reject them. So why is it that they keep coming back up in my mind and my readings and all of that? We're going to talk about it today. So from a spiritual shamanic perspective, there is several different reasons why someone may keep coming back up in your readings and your dreams and your mind. So we're going to go through them one by one and take whichever one resonates for your specific situation if you've been in this situation before. Number one, you may still have unresolved feelings for them. This one is the more obvious one. If you still low-key would get back together with someone or want to be their friend and they're not currently in your life, you may be in separation. Well, obviously, if that desire is still there, they're constantly going to keep popping back up into your reality because you're the one that wants it, okay? So that's the most obvious one. But there are definitely circumstances where objectively you do not like someone anymore. They may have done you dirty, they had their chance, they didn't take it, they may have hurt you, and on a very logical level, you're not interested anymore, and they still keep popping up. Why? Is there unresolved feelings? You may be asking yourself, confused. I don't think so. What may happen in that case is a thing called soul loss. So in shamanism, we talk about this thing called soul loss. Think of yourself as a complete, full entity, 100% yourself when you're a baby. Have you ever been around babies? People just gravitate towards them. They want to play with them. They want to hold them. They're so adorable. They give off that energy of purity. And that is an example of someone who has a fully intact soul, okay? They decided to be born and they are completely themselves. Now, throughout their life, they're going to experience some trauma, some very difficult challenges that may make them a little bit harder or bitter or resentful. You know, we go through these experiences that sort of take away our innocence. And everyone experiences some level of soul loss throughout their life, I would argue. And it's kind of good when you're dealing with it in the moment because it helps protect that part of your soul. Think of it as a little piece of your soul breaking off from your body and your consciousness and staying behind in the past, in the moment where some form of trauma, some form of negative situation took place. And they stay in that past so that way it won't get damaged any further, essentially. And then you move on from your life, and from that experience forward, you may be a little bit more bitter or cold or having stronger boundaries or something like that, you know? It's like a piece of your innocence and your unconditional love and peace for life itself breaks off. Now, throughout your life and your upbringing, little life events may chip away at your soul, essentially. And in shamanism, one of the biggest things that we do is we take a shamanic journey or a soul journey to go back into someone's past, to retrieve those lost soul particles. And we guide that part of your soul back to your body, and beautiful things happen after you do that. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna give you some examples. But the symptoms that you have some soul loss is that you may randomly think back to these random events that happened in your life. Even if it was many, many years ago, it just sticks out in your memory and randomly comes up, especially during times when you're like in the shower or like just walking. It's like you randomly like think of something that happened like years ago that embarrassed you, or some sort of turning point in your life. That may have been a point where you experienced some soul loss. It can also come up in your dreams. And I'll give you a personal example with this. I keep having these repetitive dreams where I'm back in like middle school and I have some sort of issue with my schedule. I can't find any of my classes and I have to go to the guidance counselor to figure out my schedule. And it's always just so stressful. And that is because when I was in middle school, I had some beef with our school counselor and it was very traumatic. And so that's why it keeps coming up in my dreams. So one of my next soul journeys will be to go back and retrieve that part of my soul. But I'll give you an example of a situation that actually legitimately worked. I've done this so many times for myself and for others. I kept having repeating dreams where I was like back in band and I kept forgetting all of the music, or I would forget my sticks or my drums or something. And I was always so lost. And then I soul journeyed back to like that point in my life. And, I was trying to find out why I kept having these dreams over and over and over again, and I found a part of my soul that has broken off during that time period, and I guided them back to my body and nourished them, loved them, etc. And I swear to you, I had not had a single dream like that ever since that happened. And this was a repetitive dream that I must have had like hundreds of times. So that's how powerful soul retrieval is. Anyways, if you keep feeling and thinking back to a certain person, you may have experienced soul loss with that person. Or if this is a repetitive cycle that you're in, there may be an original soul loss that guided that person into your life. And I'll give you another personal example. This is a deeply personal example. Okay, for a couple of years in my life, I kept attracting these relationships that sucked, okay? Like situationships, all right? Where I was, and I thought I was doing everything correctly. I would be very upfront with my intentions from the beginning, and they would, be like, oh yeah, I want the same things, blah, blah, blah. A few months go by, and I'm like, you know what? I decided I do want to be in a relationship, or like if I don't want to stay in this sort of situationship energy. So either we're just going to be friends or we're going to elevate to relationship. And then they would always have some sort of resistance to, giving me my wants and needs, which is literally just consistency. I don't even ask for monogamy. And they would be resistant to that. Like, I just need consistency. That's all. And they would refuse to give me that. And I'm like, okay, we could just be friends. And then when we would just be friends, they would keep pushing the envelope to get all of their wants and needs met by me, essentially. And I'm like, why do I keep repeating this cycle? And I was getting annoyed at the universe because I'm like, I am doing everything right. I'm being honest, I'm being open, I'm being upfront. Why do I keep attracting these people who keep fooling me, who keep looking at me like I'm some sort of monkey that's just gonna keep giving them their wants and needs without getting anything met back? So I recognized that this was a repetitive pattern. And I think the last straw for me was like, I had two... This situation happened twice to me, very devastatingly, within like a month of each other, because I was dating this guy for several months, ended up ending it because all of that nonsense happened. And then a few weeks later, I met up with an old friend who I used to, have like dates with in the past. And then all of these old kindles and sparks started flying again. And again, the same situation happened like very quickly after that last one. I'm like, okay, this is clearly a sign from the universe. And so I'm like, there's an original wounding here because this same dynamic keeps repeating. So let me go back and see what that wounding is. So and around the same time that this was happening, I kept having this memory come back up in my mind of when I was like maybe 4 or 5 years old. And I remember I was like running through my house and I was like kissing both of my parents. They were on opposite ends of the house. And I would run up to my father and I'd like hug him, kiss him, blah, 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 run up to my mom and then do the same thing. And then every time I'd go up to my dad, like he would like not pay any attention to me and like reject the hugs and the kisses and, was very, very cold. And I remember I had like an actual conscious thought a few times after doing that, where I decided, you know what, he doesn't seem to like want my affection. He never reciprocates it, and I felt a little bit hurt for like a 4 or 5-year-old. So I consciously decided in that moment, you know what, I'm gonna stop trying, and if he wants affection, he can come to me. And I don't know how I remember that. Like, that is such an old memory, and just a random like Tuesday type of memory, you know? It wasn't anything big or traumatic. It was just a conscious thought that I had at the age of 4 or 5. But I was explaining this thought to someone as like all of this situationship in my present day life was going on. And I'm like, wow, it's so weird that this memory is coming back up in my brain at the same time I'm becoming conscious of this repetitive negative cycle with, you know, the men in my life. And so I shamanic journeyed back to my 4 to 5-year-old self, and I really recognized that that was a soul fragment of me, and that part of me never really got the opportunity to age and to, you know, be integrated. And I walked up to that soul fragment in my journey, and I was like, what part of you, like, do you represent? Or what part of me do you represent, rather? And through energy, not even through clairvoyance or like talking, just a feeling and energies, I recognized that that part of me was the part of me that was able to receive, which was groundbreaking, because not only was I struggling with my love life and this repetitive pattern, but I was really struggling financially as well. And it's like every time money would come into my life, some random expense for the same amount that I got would come out. Like, I'd get like a couple of $100 extra, like, oh my gosh, this is great, I can finally start saving, I can pay off my debts. And then, you know, random cavity that I need to get fixed, random vet appointment that cost hundreds of dollars would come through for the same amount that would come in. And that happened consistently. That was also a repetitive cycle. And I always felt intuitively like those two things were connected, my love life and finances. And when I met this soul fragment of me, I realized, oh my God, like, that's why, because you were left behind, which was good at the time. Honestly, the fact that that part of me was left behind was good for my childhood, because I don't feel any trauma towards my father or towards my parents. Like, I never thought they were bad people. And I think the reason I was able to go through my childhood without that sort of affection and being very understanding and compassionate, empathetic to the fact that, you know, my father may have, you know, grown up in his own situation and like never learned how to express those feelings. I never felt resentment towards him for that. And I think that's because I left that innocent part of my soul behind. However, now I'm an adult, and that's a very important part of the soul. So I journeyed back, and I went through this whole journey where I essentially like gave so much love and sort of visualized what that part of me needed at the time. And I had this wild journey of like, kind of like, I'm not going to call it imagining, because when you're soul journeying, it does feel like you're imagining it a little bit, but it's real energy work. And I was essentially like raising this part of me in a very like sort of quick way, but it was beautiful. Like, energetically, I raised this part of me back up and imagined the rest of my childhood from that point on actually getting the needs that I needed. And once I did that, I came back. I traveled back to my body, and I guided that little 4-year-old version of me into my body. And I explained, I'm like, I'm going to take care of you from now on. From this point on, like, if you join me, I will not put you in any circumstances or situations where your love is not reciprocated. And so I guided that part of me back into my body. And let me tell you, the changes that ensued after that happened was crazy. I had the strength and the power to walk away from this now second situationship that I was dealing with. And I just feel so proud of myself for having like actually discovered boundaries, and I started receiving a lot more, like financially, like things are getting better and relationships are getting better. So the reason I just went on a long-winded example is because if you keep having someone pop back up in your readings, in your memories, in your dreams, that may be tied to some form of soul loss, whether you lost a piece of yourself directly from them and their relationship, or they're just one person in a longer pattern that comes from an original soul wounding. See, in shamanism, like, I don't need to go back and heal from every bad relationship I had after that original soul wounding, because those bad relationships were just repeating the original wounding. So there's no point in me sitting here and moving through the motions of healing from every single one of those people that were in that cycle. It just makes a lot more sense to go back to the original cause. And when I did, honestly, like, I feel like that healed the rest of the cycle. It's kind of like a string of Christmas lights where there may be like a dark portion that like has went out, and it's only one bulb usually that may be like unscrewed a little bit or not working properly. And once you fix that one, the rest of them go on. That's sort of the same energy, I guess you could say. So with this information being said, use your intuition. Do you still have feelings for this person, or is there some form of soul loss, and the reason they keep popping back up is because there's something there that still needs healing or reintegrating, and it's your lost soul fragment that's calling out to you like, hey, come get me. Either way, one thing is for certain: whoever this person is that keeps coming back up in your readings, your mind, your dreams, they are thinking about you, okay? I can say that very confidently. You share an energy cord to every single person you meet, even strangers. When anything comes into your conscious reality, like if you meet a new person, you form an energy cord directly to them, okay? When you get a new idea, that idea has connected with you, and you now have an energy cord with them. And those energy cords only disappear when you 100% forget about each other. So when you meet someone and talk to them, become their friend, become in a relationship with them, that energy cord is not going anywhere, okay? You may do a cord cutting ritual, but the second you think about them, you're just forming that cord again, okay? So I do support cord cutting rituals, especially when it is cutting away the negative attributes of that connection. However, you may be wondering, I did a cord cutting ritual, so why is their energy still popping back up in my readings, in my mind, in my dreams, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to tell you what you can do if that's the case. First off, be aware that you can't control when the other person thinks about you. If they keep popping up in your readings and you genuinely feel like you're at a place where you forget they exist and you're over them, it's because they may not be over you, or they may talk about you frequently. They may think about you a lot. Like, I remember, and I'm gonna give you another personal example. I had a best friend for like over a decade, and we had a very rough falling out. The friendship was very toxic, especially towards the end. And honestly, like, I had an intense grieving process from that end of that friendship that lasted like maybe like a year, okay? However, I busied myself with new people, new friends, other things, and genuinely, like, I got over it, to be honest. Like, and it wasn't that difficult for me to get over her because, like I said, it was toxic, especially for me. And I kept feeling intuitively like her and her friends were talking crap on me constantly. And it kept, like, that theme kept popping up like all over the place for me. I just kept reconnecting to her energy in that way. And I just had this strong feeling. Eventually that diminished a little bit throughout the many years. However, I just felt her energy connecting. Because when someone thinks about you or touches themselves to you or talks about you, they are pulling on your shared energy cord. And if you are psychically sensitive, you will feel that, okay? And it will come up in your reality. So I'm going to give you a ritual that you can do to sort of protect yourself from this if you're getting sick of it, okay? So what you're going to do is close your eyes, and I'm going to kind of guide you. Close your eyes and visualize yourself in a beautiful sunny meadow and call upon your higher self, your power animal, or some spirit guide if you know who they are, just to make sure that you're protected, you're safe, everything. Visualize them there with you. Give them a hug if you want. It's the two of you in this meadow. Now what you're going to do is you're going to visualize or imagine, and it doesn't have to be visual. I know some people are not visual thinkers, so this could be like just an energy or a feeling, or you describe it in your head using words. However you imagine things, just go with it. Imagine a beautiful, beautiful wave of golden sparkly energy coming towards you, and it starts circling around you, forming like a protective sphere and bubble. And set the intention that this beautiful golden energy is going to filter the energy cord that you share with this person, okay? So whenever this person sends you energy through your shared energy cord, whether it be by talking about you, thinking about you, etc., that energy will be transmuted. Once it hits that golden bubble, it will transform into pure source energy. Love, peace, blessings, all of that. And it continues into your personal aura, soul, and energy. And set the intention that this beautiful golden bubble will filter out the thought of this person. So every time this person, whoever it is to you, thinks about you, talks about you, etc., this protective golden bubble around you will filter out the volume of this energy, turn it into pure source energy, and it will go into your life in the form of blessings, protection, whatever, wherever you need it most, that is where it will go. Money, wherever you need it most, that is where it will go. And the thought of the person who is sending this energy will get filtered out, returned down into Mama Earth, where it can be transmuted back to source energy. And set the intention that this golden, beautiful bubble will last for however long you want it to last, whether you want it to last a week, a month, a year, for the rest of your life, for the rest of your existence. I would not recommend making it last for more than your lifetime. I'm just going to say that right now because it's very difficult to find and undo past life karmic contracts that you make, okay? And that would be a contract. So set the intention for the rest of your life or whenever you want, okay? Maybe a few weeks, maybe a year. Yeah, I think that's good. I would say a year. And once you've done so, literally just say, and so it is, or amen, or whatever thing you say to really set it in stone. And once you've done that, go back to your body, open your eyes, thank your spirit guide, and you're good to go. It's a really great ritual to do, and it will keep you protected from that person constantly sending you energy. This is also a really good thing to do if you're somebody who's in the public eye a lot. Obviously, you have many different people forming energy cords to you, and they are sending you energy. So if you have that protective golden bubble, you can make sure that all the energy being sent your way is transmuted into good, pure source energy, because obviously not all of it's going to be positive, especially if you have a YouTube channel or a podcast or you're someone like that. There's going to be haters alongside your fans. It's just a fact of life. So this ritual is really good to do. I think everyone should do it, honestly. All right. Even if you're not in the public eye, like if you're a nurse, for example, and you see a lot of people, or cashier, anything, anyone should do this. All right. That is my recommendation. And just set the intention for a specific person or really anyone. Okay. And those are my tips and tricks for whenever you feel like someone keeps popping up in your readings, keeps popping up in your reality. Okay. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know if there's anything else you want me to talk about, make a video about. I would be happy to do so, okay? Leave it in the comment section. If you want to help support the channel, like this video so that way it can get out to more people who are spiritually minded and into the same stuff that we are. And subscribe to the channel if you enjoy tarot readings, chats like this, law of attraction, witchcraft, all of that ooey gooey goodness, okay? Thank you guys. Bye-bye.